in general. Here are the dads with a plan for every hashtag dad life and sports fan, Kyle Castles and Michael Draper.
And here we are. It is Kyle Castles and Michael Draper on Dad's Watching Sports. Thank you so much for joining us. Kyle, it is Sunday, August the 29th. It's hard to believe September is right here upon us.
And sports fan.
What was that?
I pulled the show up on Facebook so I could share it like I always do every week, but
Okay.
I didn't have my volume down. So
Hey,
what you're hearing.
So what you're telling me there, Kyle, is that our talent has now become our marketing expert. I will give you kudos, man. Every single week you're out there sharing that link on the book, and I very much appreciate that. It's something that I don't often do, but I appreciate
What I
you,
can
man.
do for the show.
I thought you were going to say what I can do for you, meaning me, which I was going to say, man, I really appreciate that.
Look, it's not about you. This is about the show.
No, it's all. Of course, it's about me. You kidding me? We are broadcasting live on the Dad's Watching Sports pages, also on the Off the Ball Network, and thanks to Chris, Mo, and the gang at Off the Ball Network for letting us be a part of it. Kyle, it is episode 79. We are right up against 80 episodes, which I'm very excited about. It's hard to believe we started this thing back in February of 2020. And here we are, and what is about to be September 2021, and we're still going strong, my man.
Man, we are we're killing this thing. I probably shouldn't say it that way. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world that we're not going to talk about, but we're doing great. I mean, we're working on 80 episodes as of next week, and I don't see us stopping anytime soon. I mean,
This train ain't slowing down, my man. It is
we're-
not slowing down.
I feel like we're still climbing up the hill. We're not even coming down the hill yet.
Oh, we're just barely on the hill. Just
Is that
barely
what
on it. I mean, we're at like the base of the mountain, and we've done the pre-work, we've stretched, we've got the gear, we're ready to go, but we haven't even begun the ascent. And I'm excited.
Oh man, I'm happy to be climbing with you.
That's right, absolutely. Well, Kyle, there's a movie out there that and I can't remember the name of it, but it talks about a tripod. And I just remember like this. What's the name of that movie? It's The Girl Next Door. And the three guys, they're like, we're a freaking tripod. They use a different word other than freaking. And they're taking the porn stars to the prom or something like that. And the guy says, we're a freaking tripod. And Kyle, we talked about being at the base of the mountain, ready to ascend.
We are.
And Kyle, if we're gonna do it, man, do we need? Is it just the two of us? Does it work well? Do we need a tripod?
I don't know. I just noticed my mom's watching the show, so Mom, I apologize. Tripod to me means something else.
Okay.
So I didn't know where you were going with
Fair enough. All right. Well, with all that being said, let's welcome back Matt Kirk. Matt Kirk is part of the tripod.
Well, guys, all I got to say is if you kick one leg out, the whole thing falls.
That's right. You kick one leg or another body part or something like that.
What else? What other kind of tripod would you be referring to, Kyle?
a camera tripod.
That's right.
Oh.
Remember, Matt, I know it's been a long time since you've been with us. Remember, this is a family show. Kyle, you know better, and I definitely know better. Well, Matt, welcome back to the show, man. We're going to have you on a regular basis. How are you?
I'm good, man. You guys doing all right?
We're doing well. We're doing good. We're looking forward to having you back. We've talked a lot of college football over the past couple of weeks. I know you chimed in on a couple episodes, and we're going to continue to do that. But before we get into some college football talk, I do have some stuff for us to get into. Matt, you may not know this, but Kyle does. We talked about it on our show last week. So I'm coaching Emma, our daughter. I'm coaching her soccer team. This is her first time playing soccer, and I am coaching the 4- and 5-year-olds. Kyle, you've been a little league coach before. We talked about this last week on the show. We had our first practice last Monday. I think it went pretty well. I was talking to Suzanne afterwards, and I was like, I think we did good. I got to the kids. There was a couple of kids that didn't want to participate. We got them going, did some fun drills. I do have to give a shout out. There's this app called like Mojo, and it's specifically geared around like youth soccer. And you basically just plug in like, okay, I have this amount of kids. I have this is their level, like beginner, intermediate, whatever. And then it's got all these little drills, and it like makes a practice plan for you. It's really cool. I'll have to share it with you sometime. But it's so Mojo took care of me on my practice plan. It was extremely hot. Man, I don't know what the weather is like down there in Texas, but it's been, low to mid 90s every day here with a heat index of well over 100. So about every 2 minutes, Kyle, the kids are, can I get some water? Can I get some water? And as much as I wanted to be that strict coach was like, water is for sissies or whatever, couldn't do it at 4 and 5 years old.
No, nobody's that coach anymore. Even at high school to the pros, like we know you have to keep the body hydrated to keep moving. The only thing you want to avoid is overhydration, because then you heat up all the water in the stomach and it comes back up.
Or what you have to do is you have that situation like a Major Payne whenever that boy couldn't hold his liquid.
That's right. We don't want none of that. So we're going to avoid that at the 4 and 5 year old soccer practice. But I'm excited. She had a good time. That everybody had a good time. I think everybody's coming back for week 2. I got a new player. Just got an email earlier today, so I'm hoping for a ringer coming in late.
So you were
is he Italian?
I don't know his country of origin, but I'm sure he's going to be a baller.
Have you seen the movie called Kicking and Screaming?
I have, yes.
Yeah, so that's what you need is an Italian kid like what they got.
Well, I do have the whole jumpsuit ready to go, and I've got my Ted Lasso outfit too for game 1.
Wasn't I could be wrong? Wasn't the kid? So you remember the movie Big Green, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What was his name?
Was
Carlos Morales?
Morales, yes. Juan Morales, yes.
Juan, that's it.
Juan Morales.
You need a Juan Morales.
I know. If I open my email and see Juan Morales' name as my new kid that's coming on the team, I'm gonna go ahead and sign us up for the championship because we're gonna be ready to go. But no, in all seriousness, we got some good players on our team. Some really headstrong kids. They're ready to go. They're ready to play. So I'm excited about what the YMCA soccer season holds for us. So Kyle, we were supposed to have a weekend this past weekend, and not just you and I. It wasn't that kind of weekend. Sorry again, Donna, if you're watching. But we were supposed to get the families together. We are going to go up to the lake, just have a good time with all 5 kids and the wives. We were driving up Thursday night to even get the place ready for you. And we got a text on Thursday night, Kyle.
Yeah.
What happened, man?
Kids getting sick, man. So it turns out Hannah woke up Thursday morning just covered in snot, and Lauren took her to the doctor, and they were like, she's got an ear infection, which we kind of assumed because that's what our kids do is get ear infections. And so when we saw that, we were like, okay, if it's just an ear infection, we can still go to the lake. Not a big deal.
Yep.
They tested her for flu and COVID. Both came back negative. And so we're like, okay, we're totally going. Then she starts throwing up. And at that point, I was like, I'm not – if this is a stomach bug, and at that time I said if it's a stomach bug, I'm not taking this around Mike's kids. No reason to get them sick. So as it turns out, Jack, the 4-year-old, threw up last night before once we finally got him to bed. He's thrown up. But that was it. He threw up last night. Everything was fine. He woke up this morning, seemed okay, a little tired, but seemed okay. He had baseball practice today. Mike, you said it. It was right around 90 degrees today at 2 o'clock when his practice was. I get him in the truck. It's just going to be me taking Jack because we don't want to get Hannah around anybody because, we still don't, He falls asleep in the truck, and I just start going, oh, this is not going to go well because when he doesn't get his sleep, he's tough. But whatever, I'm going to make it work. I get 5 minutes from the house. I hear him cough, and I go, "Oh no!" And then I hear, "Bleh."
Oh,
He throws up
no.
all over my truck.
Oh, poor guy,
I'm
man.
on the phone with my mom just because I was talking to her just about how this is going to be awful. Because Lauren was here painting Jack's room. We're finishing that up. And I'm going, Mom, I don't have a place to like pull over. I just have to make a U-turn in the middle of the road and come back home. I tell Lauren, like, you come get him because I'm not letting this stuff like bake in my truck while I while I'm trying to take care of him. So she comes out, strips him down in the driveway because he's got puke. I mean, from his chin to his feet. And she gets him in the bath, bathed, and gets all the puke clothes and everything that's been puked on just thrown in the wash. I have to take the car seat out covered in puke. I'm putting my hand down to like unhook it all, and it's just it's like to my elbows.
Yep.
All over my shirt. It was. I got the shop vac out and just started vacuuming up all the chunks.
Yep. So
it was awful.
You guys have heard the term dad tax, like you order, you go through like the takeout and your kids order something, you take something out. That is exactly the reason for the existence of the dad tax. It's doing stuff like that where you got to go elbow deep in puke to unbuckle. Oh man, I mean, I hate it for Jack, but dude, that's hilarious.
But you hate it for me too.
No, I don't hate it for you. I love it for you, but I hate it for Jack. Yeah, man, that's just Matt. It reminds me of our weekend. We were supposed to go see UK and Arkansas play. Was that like 2 years ago? And you got all the way up here to Nashville, and then Hayden has to go to the ER for croup, and we end up not going. Man, it's just another one of those examples of like we've got this great thing planned, Matt, and then the kids just decide, well, change the plans.
Yep. Yeah, that was rough. I was pretty bummed out, not going to lie. But I ended up having a good time anyway, so it worked out well for me. I got to get some of my brats that I love down there in Murfreesboro.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right. A couple other things I wanted to get into before we go to a break and get into some college football talk. So Matt and I have been a part of this little kind of guys, I guess you'd call it Bible study that we're kind of working on. And one of the topic for this past week was kind of overwhelmingly like leadership, and just talking about leadership in your home, and it could be in your job, of your spouse, of your kids, and it really just kind of resonated with me. And I thought we could just maybe spend a few minutes here and just kind of talk through this all together of just like kind of what it means to you to be a leader. I shared with the group was just like, it's very natural for me to be a leader, like in the workplace and kind of outside of home. Like it's just something that comes natural. And I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if it's something that I've pulled from either previous bosses or, people that I've been related to or what, but that kind of comes natural to me. The thing that doesn't come as natural is kind of specifically like spiritual leadership in the home, and which is odd because my dad was a minister, but that's something that I really have to try to be very intentional about. And so that's me. So I didn't know what you guys' perspective was on just kind of leadership as a whole, but I know it's something that it's a hugely important topic for dads and husbands and even people in the workplace.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like you. When I get to work, I feel like I'm a different animal, right? Like I can be a leader. I actually am. I don't think I've told you this, but I am one of the 2 student council advisors this year, and my co-advisor is brand new to the building, and she's still trying to get her feet underneath her. So I've kind of been taking most of it on my own, and I'm trying to build leaders that way. And so I have these class officers, and trying to get them like, no, y'all are doing this. I'm not going to do it for you. Like I can do that, and I can lead these kids. I'm also the new hire mentor coordinator in the building. So I pair up the new hires to the building with other teachers in the building to be their mentors. And I am kind of like the head mentor or whatever. And I can do that. Like I'm great. But when I get home, I tend to just defer to Lauren, quite honestly.
Right.
Like, what do you want? Whatever you want, that's fine. I'll do it. And I don't know why that is. And maybe it's just because like I've made all my decisions for the day. I did that at work. Now I'm home. Now I just want to chill. I don't care what we have for dinner. Just figure it out. You know? And so I do feel like that's a place I need to be better. I need to, and you know, there are some things, and I think, you know, Mike, I think you and I are similar in this where we look up and just go, is it worth a whole conversation, or can you just make the call? Because I don't really care what we have for dinner, or I don't care which blue we decide we want to paint in Jack's room. Like, I like that one and that one. Whichever one you pick out of those, I'm cool. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I don't think that, at least I can't speak for you and Suzanne, but for me and Lauren wants someone that is more of a leader than that, and I need to be better.
Yep. No, I'm right in that boat. Matt, I know you shared a couple of things this week as well that were somewhat very similar.
Yeah, I kind of, you know, I don't know. Like, I've never been like a natural leader. The only thing I can really lead is a conga line. So
I would pay to see that.
Leader.
I would pay to see that too. Now, so how come you didn't lead the conga line at our wedding then? Like, I mean,
did.
You did.
I thought
I
do think that.
Okay, maybe I was preoccupied with that whole getting married thing, but yeah.
Well, and that was probably when you were having your cake, because I didn't even know you guys had cake. I didn't even get a piece of cake.
Oh man.
Wait, y'all had
so that had to have been that, or I think you had an ice cream bar, right?
Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, we had the like the bride's cake, but then I had the instead of a groom's cake, I had an ice cream bar.
Yeah, I didn't get to partake in the ice cream bar. I was too busy conga lining and doing all that with the crowd. But
it was that open bar, man. It was that open bar.
Yeah. But anyway, so I'm not much of a leader to begin with. I'm not proud of it, but I don't really think too well on my feet sometimes, unless I'm in trouble, with the wife, and then I can think of something real quick. But for the most part, I spent this week really trying to be a better leader with, being attentive during church. Last Sunday, I was more attentive during church, just trying to make sure that, everyone's paying attention, and I can multitask a little bit better than my wife can. So I'll make sure that I'm taking care of the kids or whatever, while she's getting to watch. And I try to do better about leading our prayers. And then, we have conversations, that regard our faith and stuff throughout the week.
Yeah.
And today our preacher really hit it home. He talked about men and their egos, and I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
So, so that's pretty much it for me for being a leader. I'm not much good at it, and anytime I've been in a position to lead other people, it's been kind of awkward. So,
well, again, I think it's all depending on the scenario and the situation, and I think people can lead in different ways. I mean, I think we've all discovered that, and we've talked about that. So, Jason Hitching says, "Love this convo." See, Jason, we all aspire to be great leaders like you, people that can lead not only like 4 different small groups during the week, but now Jason Hitchings is the sports and men's director for the Rolling Hills Community Church. So, Jason, congratulations on your role. Looking forward to all the great things that are coming from the men's groups there. But I mean, for me, again, it's one of those things I have to be really intentional about in the home of trying to be a leader, because I'm like you, Kyle. Like, it's like, hey, I mean, I don't care whatever you want for dinner, or I don't, whatever you think is best for what the kids wear or what the kids need. And to be honest, we had some very intentional conversations pretty early on after Emma was born about like sharing 50-50, which I think we're pretty good about that. But for me, it's like Suzanne thinks of things about our kids like clothes and food and like everything about their lives that I don't even, like, it's not even remotely in my brain to think about.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, you mentioned clothes. Like, I'll put them in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt and go. Like,
right.
Does it match? It's close enough, right? Like, I'm good.
Right.
They're kids. They don't care. Just put some clothes on them. But like, Lauren is very particular, and that's just not, like you said, it's not something that we think about, because we got other things we got to worry about.
Right.
And so, I mean, I think that's why we have our wives, because they think about things that we don't.
That is 100% accurate, without a doubt. And that's that kind of perfect blend of, trying to, each of us trying to complement each other one way or the other. Jason says, I'm with you all. It has to be intentional. Nothing easy about leadership. That is for sure. TJ Burns jumping in. Yo, what's up, TJ? We haven't heard from you in a while. Hope you're doing well.
He's back like the McRib.
That's right. He is back like the McRib.
Matt comes back and TJ's back. So
I know. It's they must be joined at the hip. But TJ, I know your Aggies are gearing up for a big season. We'll talk some college football in just a minute. Before we go to break, guys, I do want to just mention this, and this is something that I'll be honest, has really kind of been heavy on me the past couple of days, and just seeing, and we're not getting into political conversation here, but just seeing kind of the images and the videos coming out of Afghanistan the past couple of days. And I was thinking about this on the way home today. Look, wherever you are on the map in terms of wearing a mask, getting a vaccine, my personal preference is we wear a mask where we feel like we need to and where it's asked for us. We got the vaccine. If you choose not to do one of those things, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with you about that. But just thinking, like seeing the images and the videos that came out of there within the past week, and seeing what the devastation that's happening on the Gulf Coast right now with Hurricane Ida, and just knowing all the other things that are going on around the world, man, like the fact that we have all these things that are happening, and then we as a country are at each other's throats about wearing a mask. Man, it just shame on us. Like, shame on us for being so up in arms about something that is so trivial in the scope of getting upset about it. When you've got all this other crap going on. And that's just been something that's been really pulling at me the past couple of days. And you guys can comment if you like, you don't have to, but man, I've just been really wrestling with, like, we all need to reevaluate ourselves of look what's really going on in the world. And people are up in arms at a school board meeting about wearing a mask or not.
Yeah, because that's the school board I work for, I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. And I understand that completely.
So, where I've got the problem at is, I respect whatever, I'm like you, Michael, I respect whatever decision everybody makes. It's their own decision. If I agree with it, then great. If I don't, then you know what, then whatever. I'm like you, I got my vaccine, I wear a mask if I need to, or if I feel uncomfortable, or if I am under the weather at all, I will wear a mask, which I hope people can respect that, because I respect whatever decision that you make. Mm-hmm. Just don't cough on me, please. But I think that the biggest thing is that America just needs to get back to loving each other and being proud to be American, and being in America and representing the American people, because without the people, there is no America, truly. And it's one of the best things about being American is that we get choices. And and with the social media culture that we have, everything is magnified, and
yeah, of course,
it's insane, man. Like anything that Joe Biden says or that Trump said or whatever gets so overblown out of proportion. It's insane. And man, you know what? Just embrace the fact that he's president, which, ultimately whoever's president, it probably affects me, but I don't think it affects me enough at this point in my life to really care that much. But I hope that every president we have is successful, and that I think that Joe Biden and the rest of the government will pull us through this mess, and then we'll get back to normal. And that's just what I pray for every day. I pray for all the people that are hungry every day, and I just hope that, that Americans can embrace each other and can love each other regardless if you have a vaccine or if you wear a mask or whatever. Yep. So that's just all I hope for.
Yeah, that's well said. I just keep going back to, I don't know if you guys saw the video, but with one of our bomber airplanes taking off, and I mean, there's thousands of people rushing, trying to get on board, and they're like grabbing the wheels, and a few people, I mean, the airplane takes off and a few people are still on there and they end up falling off. And I'm just like, man, those people are scrambling to get out of that country. And I don't know, again, it just, the fact that that's going on in our world and that people are so up in arms just about what I would consider trivial things to an extent, just blows my mind and breaks my heart, to be honest with you. So, All right, guys. Well, we'll come back. We're going to go to a break. Sorry to get into a heavy topic there, but it is something that I wanted to just get off my chest, I guess. We're going to talk some college football when we get back. We got a lot to discuss. We'll be right back on Dad's Watching Sports. Big news in the Dad's Watching Sports podcasting world. You've heard us mention it on the show already. We are now part of the Off the Ball Podcast Network. We're super excited to be joining the team of great shows, hopefully adding a little dad flavor to the mix. You can check out Off the Ball Podcast and Off the Ball Network on all your social media sites. Just search Off the Ball Network. And while you're there, give them a like and a follow. You won't regret it. And we're back here on Dad's Watching Sports. Michael Draper, Kyle Castles, and Matt Kirk. And guys, we are officially in college football season. Before we get to that, I did want to throw TJ had a comment, didn't want to leave it out. It says, wear a mask or don't, get vaccine or don't, do what you feel is right. Don't push your personal agenda on others. TJ, there's a lot of truth to that, without a doubt. Guys, this past weekend was college football week 0. We haven't even made it to week 1. We got college football already. I'm very excited about it. So Matt, you're a big college football guy. Did you do anything fun this weekend to celebrate the opening weekend of college football?
Man, I watched former Razorback coach Brett Bielema put a hurting on old Scott Frost and may have sealed his fate to be out the door at the end of this year. But no, I just watched the game. I spent the morning at the gym. I went to the gym and I walked the dog a little bit and just kind of hung out with my daughter. And while my wife was gone and my son was napping, and we just hung out. And then at noon, I watched the game and I watched it until it was over. And it was nice. I didn't have any real interruptions, so it was nice just to be able to watch and enjoy. And hopefully the quarterback for the Illini will be all right.
Yeah, he got beat up pretty good there earlier on in the game. Yeah, I mean, I think just to sit around and watch a little college football on a nice, relaxing Saturday, having fans back in the stands. I mean, to me, that was one of the exciting things. You had game day with fans there, the first kicking off beforehand, Kyle, and it was exciting. Matt mentioned Nebraska, Kyle. Scott Frost, had all the success at UCF, got them rolling, got them into a national story there. Apparently thought they won the national championship a few years back. Goes back home to his alma mater, won a Heisman Trophy there, won a national championship there. Everybody thinks Nebraska's back. But 3 years in, man, here they are again, losing games that maybe they probably shouldn't have. Yeah. They just hadn't made it back. Does Scott Frost last in Nebraska? Does he get this thing turned around? Does he finally get them back to competing for what would now be a Big Ten championship?
Here's the thing. I don't know. Who else could, right? Like Scott Frost has proven he knows how to win football games. A lot of football games and big football games. If it's not him, who else? Who can go in to Lincoln and recruit the way you have to recruit to win consistently in the Big Ten? And I mean, we're talking the Big Ten, right? Like you take out Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin. I mean, those are kind of been your big three in the Big Ten the last few years. Michigan is kind of fine, whatever. I mean, you take those three out, it's not like you have just world beaters, If it's not him, who is it? This is a conversation, and I know this bleeds into our next topic, so maybe you can make your segue easier. But it's the conversation that I've had with Tennessee fans for a while now. You're not the Tennessee of the 1990s. Phil Fulmer is not walking those sidelines. You don't have Travis Henry in the backfield. You don't have Al Wilson playing Mike. Peyton Manning is not playing quarterback for you. That's not who you are anymore. It's the same thing in Lincoln, right? It's not Tom Osborne running the option. It's not Scott Frost or Eric Crouch, right? That's not who you are anymore. you are in Nebraska, and here's the thing. What kid wants to go to Lincoln, Nebraska to go to college? Like, you may have all of the facilities that you could want, but look at Lincoln itself. Those same facilities are better facilities you can find in Columbus. You can find in Tuscaloosa. You can find in Baton Rouge. You can find in, wherever. Eugene, Oregon. Can Lincoln stand up against those towns? And if it can't, then you're in trouble. Because then you got to find a way to have better facilities. These things are insane anyway. So at the end of the day, can Scott Frost last? Sure. Could he turn around and this be his only loss for the season? Sure. Do I think it's going to happen? No. What's left? Who else are you going to bring in?
Right. And what will be interesting to see is how long they give him. I think this is year 4 for him there. So, what kind of leash do they get him? One thing that you brought up, Kyle, that's interesting is, and I've heard this in a couple other settings as well, specifically about recruiting, the thing that could potentially change this for programs like Nebraska, Tennessee, those programs that have had success in the past and had those die-hard fan bases and alumni groups, and that's NIL. And does Nebraska have in its alumni and in its fan base those small business or big business owners that are able to throw out a lot of money to kids to come and do endorsement deals in Lincoln or the surrounding area? They're the only show in town. Does that change recruiting, Matt, for somebody like Nebraska, where they can, the local guy that owns 6 car dealerships across the state can say, hey, I can give you, a Land Rover and spot in my commercials. You just come out here to Lincoln and we'll get it taken care of.
Man, I don't think that affects Jack. I think that these players are going to be able to walk into any college town, that if you're that good, you can walk into any college town in America, and I guarantee you that they're going to have a person on their staff that's going to connect you with a local business, and you're going to be able to make more money than you know what to do with.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably true. Let's see. So TJ's got a question. He says, for y'all, do you think it's make or break it year for A&M, and why? A lot of so-called experts believe so. I don't think so. I'll jump in this first. I don't think so. I mean, I know Jimbo's been there for quite a, for several years, but this whole A&M back resurgence in top 10, top 5, that's still fairly new. And the way they're able to recruit down there, I don't think this is make or break year at all. If anything, I think this is going to take the next step. And the thing that I think A&M fans have got to keep in the back of their mind is, while they're rolling right now, Nick Saban is not going to be at Alabama forever. And when he leaves, and it'll be sometime probably in the 2020s, we know there's no way he's coaching past that. It's going to be sometime in this decade. When he leaves, is A&M ready to be that team that takes the next step? And then they're the team that replaces Alabama. I guess they're probably going to be duking it out with LSU, at least right now, for that in the SEC West. Kyle, what do you think? A&M make or break year this year?
No, if there was a make it or break it year for A&M, it was last year. You had a proven senior quarterback, and I get quarterback is not all there is, but without a quarterback, you don't win ball games in football right now, right? Like you could win a lot of games without a quarterback in the past, because you could turn around and hand it to a guy 40 times a game, let him pound it in there and play good defense and keep the ball and whatever. That's not the way football's played anymore. You got to have a quarterback. They had a quarterback last year. They had a good season last year, but they still couldn't get over the Alabama hump.
Yep.
Are they going to get past Alabama this year? Probably not. It just is.
TJ jumps in and says, if A&M beats Alabama this year, they'll lose to Georgia in the SEC title game. That's been a trendy pick I've seen quite a bit, is A&M and Georgia in the SEC title game. Matt, any thoughts on whether you think A&M could knock off Bama this year, and is it a make or break year?
Man, it's not. I think that it's not unrealistic that they could beat Alabama. If you think about it, this is the year that Alabama, everyone's kind of sleeping on them a little bit, but they lost a lot of talent. They lost the Heisman Trophy winner. They lost Harris. They lost all those receivers. They lost their quarterback. And can they keep churning out all those quarterbacks? that is to be left unknown for now. That's left unknown for now. But I do think that it is possible that A&M can beat them. I do think that A&M is not under a make it or break it year. I think Kyle said it right whenever talk about Kellen Mond. His last year there, they really I think they're really going to realize how good Kellen Mond was when he's not playing, because that is the SEC West is the hardest conference in the country. There's no doubt about it. And, he held his own. They should have made the playoffs. They got robbed for political things with that blue and gold team. They shouldn't have been there. But anyway, no, to answer that, no, I do not think that's it. I think that they are just getting started under Jimbo, and I think they're going to be good for a long time with him.
I would second that opinion. Well, let's get back to that topic about Nebraska and Kyle, you mentioned Tennessee. If you think really, Kyle, you mentioned the 90s, and that for us, that's all big for us because we all grew up in the 90s. But you think that the really big programs of the 90s, Florida State, Nebraska, and Tennessee are really three of the top. I mean, Nebraska won 3 titles in the 90s. Tennessee won 1, played for a couple and had Manning and Fulmer just kind of run the show. And then Florida State won 2 national championships in the 90s as well, was kind of the perennial powerhouse of the decade. All 3 of those programs are on the doormat, not only of their conferences, but really they're just on the doormat in general. Nebraska showed yesterday or on Saturday with what they're kind of working with. I think nobody has any expectations for Tennessee or Florida State whatsoever this year. So I guess my question to you, Kyle, is of those 3, who can make it back to – I'm not even saying we'll win a national championship because I don't know that any of them have that in their sight anytime soon. But who just makes it back to relevance?
So if you look at the 3, we talked about Nebraska, and it's Lincoln, Nebraska, right? And so it all comes down to recruiting. There's a saying in coaching. I'm assuming you heard this coaching basketball. It's not about the X's and O's, but the Jimmies and Joes.
Yep.
My X's and O's can be fantastic, but if that guy's faster than my guy, I'm screwed. You know what I mean? And so for me, it comes down to recruiting. And you have Lincoln, Nebraska. Nebraska is not known to be putting out great football players. You have Knoxville, Tennessee. And there's some good talent in the state of Tennessee. I'm not going to argue there's not. I've coached in it. There's good talent. But then you got Florida State in the state of Florida. You're surrounded by talent in Tallahassee. It's just you got to get them to come to school there. And eventually there's going to be someone who shows up at Florida State. I don't know if it's Norvell or not. I can tell you the recruiting rankings look a lot better for him than they did for Willie Taggart. So maybe it's Mike Norvell. If it's not, it's going to be somebody else that is going to be able to come in there and bring kids are looking for someone that they can buy into. You know what I mean? And I don't know that Willie Taggart was that guy in Tallahassee. Obviously he wasn't. It was obvious based on the way they played. But just someone you can buy into. And my first thought is James Franklin. I went to multiple coaching clinics and listened to James Franklin play, and just sitting there. By the time he got done talking, I would run my head through a wall for that guy. Right? That is who kids are looking for. Right? Do I think Dan Mullen is the greatest coach ever? No, not even a little bit. But he got Mississippi State to a number 1 ranking in the nation. Right? Because he was able to do a few things. He was able to go find talent, bring it to Starkville, and get kids to buy into him with his shoe game and all of the things he does. It made kids go he's cool. He's kind of like me. I'm willing to go play for that guy. That's what you're looking for, coach, now. Plus, he's got to be able to do everything else. It's difficult. And you would think Scott Frost could do that at Nebraska, but this isn't Tom Osborne of the 90s where people go, okay, this is Tom Osborne. I know what to expect.
Yeah, and I know TJ said who remembers Eric Crouch, and Crouch and Scott Frost played in the 90s for Nebraska. Well, Crouch was kind of like early 2000s, but a lot of these kids weren't alive. They don't remember that. They don't even really care. Kyle and Matt, I'll get your take here in just one second. But one thing that you mentioned and about the coach and like who could be that guy for Florida State that gets the recruits. And the only thing that kept on popping in my mind was, there's a coach down at Jackson State right now that's known by just 2 words, prime time. And if it didn't work out for Mike Norvell, but Jackson State made a lot of noise over the next couple of years, Matt, could you see primetime Deion taking over his alma mater? Because that would bring the kids to Tallahassee if Deion Sanders is the coach. Matt, does that get Florida State back to relevance, or is it another school that you think would be able to do that?
I think that all 3 of these schools on this list don't have a chance to make it back to relevance anytime soon. In Florida, you've got too many other programs. I think Miami will be better before them. But the team that I really think is going to be making themselves more relevant this year is Michigan. We already talked about them a little bit, but Jim Harbaugh's due. He's not just going to go away. They have all the confidence in the world in him. He just got an extension. I think you're going to see Michigan go 10-2, maybe 11-1 this year, knocking on the playoff door.
Yeah,
see, you say that. Sorry, Mike, I completely.
No, you're good, man. Go ahead.
But you say that, but we have seen these coaches that go out and they get their 3 or 4 year extension, and then at the end of the season they're gone. I don't know if that's not the kiss of death for Harbaugh more than it is hey, we believe in you type thing.
Yeah. Well, I think in looking through those now 4 programs since Matt mentioned Michigan, it can be done. If you look at Notre Dame, Notre Dame, again, they're a team. I mean, they've been relevant basically every decade up until the 2000s, but then they went through a stretch where they were just brutal in the early 2000s, and then they hired Brian Kelly, and it took him a few years to get his feet underneath him and to get things rolling. But now, they've been in the playoff, and I know people joke about it. They make the playoff just because they're an independent and because they're Notre Dame and they don't ever compete even in the game, but they're still in the playoff. And they're still a top, probably 5 or 6 team in the country. So it can be done.
We saw the same thing with Alabama, right? Like
right.
Gene Stallings left, and then they had a decade there where it was not Alabama football.
Right.
Mississippi State beat them too many times to call it Alabama football.
No doubt.
But so it can be done. It can be done in any of these places. And I think Michigan is more relevant than these 3 right now on a national stage.
For sure.
Which is what it is.
Florida State, I think they've earned the credit. Kyle, you and I were talking about this before the show. That they've won a national championship within the past 7 years. So I think they still have a lot of relevancy and credit around the country because of that. Tennessee and Nebraska are just nowhere near it. Nowhere near. And it's been a lot of the recycling of coaches and just people in and out. And I know Florida State's still done with a little bit of that, but they've at least won a national championship in the past decade. So we'll see. I think I'd probably lean towards Florida State if I was to say myself too there, Kyle. But all right, guys, last thing before we take a break is there's some pretty big games week 1. Any particular storyline or games that you're looking forward to the most, Matt?
Honestly, I'm really looking forward to the Arkansas game, man. I haven't been able to watch Arkansas football since December, actually since November, and I'm just chomping at the bit, man. I'm excited about our new quarterback. I'm excited about, I'm also, I guess I could say I'm excited about every SEC team because a lot of new teams in the SEC have new quarterbacks, and I'm excited to see how these new quarterbacks are going to play. I can't remember the exact number, but I know that almost every team has a new starting quarterback. I believe so, at least. I could be wrong.
The two Mississippi schools, though.
I was going to say
Matt Corral and Will Rogers.
Right. Yeah, but if you look across LSU's got the kid that played a couple of games. Was it Brad Johnson's son that played a couple of games for them last year? Kentucky's got a new quarterback. Alabama does. Bo Nix is back at Auburn.
Yeah.
Let's see who else.
But I don't think that Bo Nix is going to play. I think he's going to get benched.
Interesting. Care to elaborate there?
What'd you say?
I said, care to elaborate there?
Oh, I just think that he's kind of. I think Chad Morris, or as we call him, Chode Morris. I think he ruined him. I think he ruined Bo Nix. He peaked whenever they had Gus his freshman year. Josh Heupel is no Gus. I don't think that they're going to be able to get that much out of him. I think he's going to end up losing his job because they brought in a transfer, I believe, that Josh is pretty high on. So that'll be interesting.
Gotcha. All right, guys, we're gonna go to a quick break. When we come back, we've got some picks we got to get through. There's a lot of big games coming up, plus our upset pick of the week. We will be right back on Dad's Watching Sports. Coming up next week on Dad's Watching Sports, it is episode 80, and the dads are talking some college football once again. And of course, it is that time. We are finally going to launch our bracket. It is the best tailgate food bracket. We will start it next week. That and much more on Dad's Watching Sports. We'll see you then. We will see you then next week on Dad's Watching Sports. But for this week, you're going to have to see us right now. He is Kyle Castles. He is Matt Kirk. I am Michael Draper. Guys, before we get into some picks for the week, as we're back in college football season, this was one of my favorite things that we did last year, was go through our picks every single week and kind of come up with a scoreboard, if you will. So very excited to do this. But you heard about it on the commercial. We've teased it a couple of times. We are launching our best tailgate food bracket next week. So let me give you all a little bit of background on how this is going to all kind of shape up here. So we are partnering with the Bracketeers. You guys remember they joined us last Christmas for our Christmas songs bracket or holiday songs bracket. And they do brackets 24/7, 365. So they're going to help us with this one, and they're going to help us tee up by helping us get the seed set and the bracket set. And then those guys are going to join us next week on the show to get through the first round. And then we'll kind of toss it out to Twitter for a round or two. And then we'll bring it back here to kind of finish things off in our best tailgate food bracket. But Matt, if you had to pick a number one overall seed in a best tailgate food bracket, what would it be?
Man, I'm going to go with the sausage balls.
That's a good one. We actually had one of our previous guests the past couple of weeks also said sausage balls. So that's a good pick. Kyle, you still going with chicken wings?
Yeah, I think so. As long as there's good buffalo sauce on them.
Okay. Yep. See, I'm more of a breakfast guy, kind of like Matt threw out the sausage balls. I love a good breakfast tailgate. So if you can throw some sausage balls, or you can do any kind of maybe sweet something with maybe like a little bourbon in the sweetness. I'm all
See, this tells me y'all are Kentucky and Arkansas fans. You're not used to playing on prime time.
Because Mississippi State is.
I had something for you to try, Michael.
Okay.
So you get you a piece of pre-cooked breakfast sausage, and you wrap it in a cinnamon roll, and you bake it like you would a cinnamon roll, and then you put the icing on top of it. It'll make you hate your own mom because she didn't ever make it for you as a kid.
Man,
wait, I want to make sure I understand this. So I'm going to take my sausage. I'm going to pre-cook it. I'm going to unroll my cinnamon rolls. I'm going to pack that sucker with some sausage, roll it back up, bake it like I normally would, take that sauce, put it in a bowl, a little bit of bourbon, stir that sucker up, and then pour it on top. And I have some bourbon cinnamon roll sausage roll things.
No, you don't put bourbon,
Okay.
Kyle.
I was gonna say, I don't know what Kyle's just focused on the bourbon there.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's about the icing. You sprinkle that little icing on top of there. It's sweet and salty and sugary. Sweet, salty, and spicy. If you really want to up it, change the sausage to spicy sausage.
Very nice. That's that may have to happen. That sounds pretty darn good. All right, before we get into the picks, one more thing, guys, and I didn't put this on the rundown, but I wanted to get y'all's take on this. So it came out late this past week that there is a new alliance, in the college football world. I don't really know what that means, to be honest with you, because it doesn't sound like it really means much of anything. But we've got the Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the ACC said, "Hey, we're gonna join forces against the big bad SEC and have this alliance." And it really doesn't mean anything other than we can now schedule between ourselves that we could already do before this, but this is cool because we're all aligned now, Kyle. Right?
Okay. That was my response. Just okay. I read what they agreed to, and I said, okay, what are you saying? You saying that nobody's going to schedule with SEC? Because that's not going to work.
Right.
You don't want to do that. So now what does it mean for us? Nothing. Congratulations. You have your alliance. I think the big thing is they're saying those of us that are here now, we're not jumping. And I don't know if they could say this, but we're not jumping to the SEC when they come calling anymore. In hopes that they can keep their teams out of the SEC. That's the way I'm looking at it. But okay.
So Matt, you are you're the Greg Sankey. You're the commissioner of the SEC, and you see this news come out. Do you show it the headlines to your fellow coworkers and laugh, or B, go, "Huh, that's interesting," or C, are you a little nervous?
Oh, I'm not nervous at all if I'm Greg Sankey. In fact, I'm polishing my shoes and putting on my good tie to go out to the bar. Probably going to put on my little belt buckle and go around and do the Cupid shuffle because those other conferences combined don't have the power the SEC has from top to bottom. Honestly, SEC is going to make them read. They're going to lick the red off their candy. Let's be honest. They're going to let the other conferences have it. And if they don't want to schedule the SEC, who cares? We'll have enough teams. Eventually, we're going to be up to 18, so we won't even need them.
That's very true. That is very true. All right, guys, let's get into some picks for the weekend. This is week 1 as we're heading into the college football season. So these games will be upcoming this next weekend, first weekend of September, Labor Day weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend. So the first game is actually on Friday night. Kyle, you and I talked about this with Andy Bitter back a couple of weeks ago. He was the beat writer for The Athletic for Virginia Tech. North Carolina at Virginia Tech. You got the people just packed in Lane Stadium. You've got some Metallica just jamming out beforehand. Any chance the Hokies can pull off an upset here, Matt?
I think they're going to be doing the hokey pokey all night on them. I think they're going to get them.
Kyle, you got UNC or Virginia Tech?
You know, I there was a big part of me that thought go Virginia Tech here, but then I looked at kickoff. Kickoff's at 5. It's not going to be dark. It's not going to be dark for the game with Enter Sandman blaring, so it's not going to have the right feel. So give me the Tar Heels. Give me Mac Brown's Tar Heels.
Now, it may be at 5 o'clock, but we haven't had fans in the stands for a year. And yes, you got it right. Enter Sandman is going to be just thumping to where the North Carolina players are going to be in their locker room thinking, oh my gosh, what is happening? So I picked this game last week. So no shocker here. I am going the Hokies to knock off UNC and end their playoffs. So TJ said, give me NC all day, but then followed it up with wrong game. Sorry. No really know what's going on there, TJ. And then Bo Myers says VT all day. So another vote for the Hokies. All right, guys, we got a really good Big Ten matchup, 2 top 20 teams. Kyle, you mentioned James Franklin a few minutes ago, his Nittany Lions going to Camp Randall. Speaking of pregame activities, there's going to be some jumping around at Camp Randall. You got the Nittany Lions or you got the Badgers?
Yeah, I really, really, really want to pick those Nittany Lions. But I can't. I think Wisconsin pulls this one out. It's in Madison, and everybody's going to be jumping.
Kyle, you mentioned the Illini coach Bielema used to be before it was Arkansas. He was up there in Wisconsin. Are you riding with his old school, or are you going with the Nittany Lions?
I think you meant to say Matt.
I meant Matt, yes.
And already gave my answer. So
yeah, I meant Matt. My apologies.
I was confused there. I am going to go with Wisconsin. I think that those big corn-fed offensive linemen are going to have their way with the defense. I think they're going to play. They're going to play ball control on them like they like to do. They're just going to pound, and the Lions are going to go back into their cage.
I will also go Wisconsin. I think they're talented, and I have Wisconsin's kind of maybe a dark horse to stick up on the Buckeyes. and maybe Matt, in your case, the Wolverines, and be a dark horse for the Big Ten. All right, let's go upset pick of the week. So you look across the landscape, the schedule across college football next weekend, and this could be any game that you've got, whether you think it's a upset based off the line or just an upset based off of who you think might be better. Matt, I'll go to you first. Who is your upset pick of the week?
So it's probably not really an upset, but I think that Georgia is going to edge out Clemson. I think that JT Daniels being full go for Georgia, Clemson's going to be battling losing ETN, Ross, and Trevor Lawrence. I think that they're just going to be overmatched, and Georgia's going to come ready to pounce.
Man, Georgia, it seems like, under Kirby Smart, they've always been the bridesmaid, never the bride. That would be a huge way for them to start off the season if they can go in and knock off Clemson. It's funny, you got J.T. Daniels, who played the last handful of games for them, and he's the most experienced quarterback in that matchup. So it's going to be, and that's just what an awesome game for week one. I mean, my gosh, this is awesome. Kyle, upset pick of the week.
So I've been looking through this, and Matt, you did pick the upset. Clemson's actually favored by 3, and I agree with you. I think Georgia finds a way, and a name to remember. I see your comment, Bo. Yeah, that's for you, buddy. But heck, those. Anyways, so I was looking at the lines, trying to figure out where is this upset coming. It's not much of a line. It's a 3-point line, but the Maryland Terrapins are the underdog to the West Virginia Mountaineers. And you got Tua's little brother pulling the string for Maryland with what's his name that was Tua's OC at Alabama. I forget his name. Forgive me. The head coach at Maryland. Maryland's going to make some noise in the Big Ten this year. I'm not saying they're going to the Big Ten title game. I'm not saying this is Indiana from last year, although Indiana could be an upset pick as well over Iowa. But I think Maryland's, maybe an 8 or 9 win team this year. So not just an upset pick, but kind of one of those Cinderella out of nowhere picks for the season in Maryland.
That's an interesting pick. Of all the games, kind of looking through, like you said, according to the line, it would be an upset. So the Terrapins getting a rare shout out here on the program. For my upset pick, man, I'm the same way. I had a couple that I thought I wanted to go with. I will say I watched just like a very, very limited amount of San Jose State last Saturday night. Watch out for them. They're going to Memorial Coliseum to take on USC. I don't know that they'll upset the Trojans, but watch out for that game. But what I am going to go with for my upset pick is a team we've already talked about already, guys. And that's Florida State over Notre Dame. It's in Tallahassee. It's the only game on. It's prime time. And I think there will be a lot of energy and a lot of emotion surrounding Bobby Bowden and him passing a couple of weeks ago. And I think the team, even though none of these kids were even alive when he was coaching, I think there's just going to be an electricity in that stadium where I think Florida State on prime time comes ready to play and knocks off Notre Dame to start the season. So that's my upset pick. All right, we'll go Bama and Miami next. I so badly want to pick the Hurricanes here. Bama's breaking in a lot of new players. Miami's got a lot of experience. They got an experienced quarterback. I think it'll be close or closer than maybe you would think, but I've got to go Bama here. Matt, do you think there's any chance the Hurricanes can knock off Saban and the Tide?
No. I think that if it's close, it'll be close for till Alabama receives a kickoff, and then they are going to run it down their throat all game long.
Kyle, we've got 2 votes for Bama. Any chance the Hurricane Manny Diaz, your boy, used to be at Mississippi State, now I'm the head coach at Miami. Any chance that King and Diaz and the boys down there at the U can pull off a shocker?
I'm with you. I really, really want to. Yeah, I really, really want to pick the U. Alabama's an 18.5-point favorite. I'm taking those points and picking. If I'm a betting man, I'm taking those points and I'm picking Miami plus 18.5 because there's no way Bama wins it by that big of a margin. Bama's breaking in too many players. I don't know if they're going to be able to score the way they did last year. At least not in this game. There was part of me that thought about picking Miami over Alabama as my upset pick. But if you notice, I didn't mention that one. I could have mentioned UCLA over LSU because I think that's there. But I just can't pick against Nick Saban. As much as I think Miami's got a shot, and I think it's going to be close, right? Of course, they'll say it closer than the experts think.
Right.
I still think Bama pulls this one out.
All right, last two here, and two of us have already made a prediction on both these games, so we'll get everybody else's take. So Georgia and Clemson, Matt, you've already said you think Georgia's going to knock off Dabo and the Tigers. Kyle, do you think? I mean, again, man, what a great matchup this is to have Week 1. Can Georgia get over the hump and finally win one of these big games, kind of propelling them? I mean, they win this one, they're probably the number 1 team in the country. Going into Week 2, depending on what Alabama does. Can Georgia knock them off, or does Clemson keep on rolling?
Did I mention the name Nakobe Dean? I don't think I did.
Mm-mm.
If Georgia pulls this thing off, and I think they will, Nakobe Dean's going to become a household name, and he might be one of those rare defensive players that gets some Heisman talk, that might even get some Heisman votes. I don't know that he'll be invited to New York or anything, but remember the name Nakobe Dean this year. I think he's primed for a big season, primed to work his way into a top 5 pick as a linebacker. He's that good. Georgia by 6 over Clemson. It's tight.
It will be tight. I think anybody would be shocked if either one of these teams blew out the other one. I'm going Clemson. And the reason is solely just because until Georgia can prove that they can finally win the big one, and this isn't even the big one. This is just opening weekend. But until they prove to me they can do it, I just don't believe in them or Kirby Smart. I know they've got the more experienced quarterback. I know they've got the more experienced line. I know all that. But I until they can prove it to me, I've got to go Clemson. All right, last game here, and we'll get out of here. I've already picked Florida State to beat Notre Dame. Matt, you got the Seminoles or the Fighting Irish?
I'm going with the Irish.
All right, Kyle, finish this out. Yeah. Florida State or Notre Dame?
Look, I've said this a bunch of times. College football is better when certain teams are at the top. Florida State's one of them, but this is not the year. Give me Notre Dame.
All right, Notre Dame. So, all right, guys. Well, enjoyed getting Matt. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us once again. And this has been Dad's Watching Sports. Next week, episode 80, we'll talk some college football. We will do our bracket, best tailgate foods. We're all very excited. Matt, do you have one last thing?
No. I was just waving to my fans.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
All two of them said hello back. So
the Twitter feed's been blowing up, Michael.
That's right. We will see you next week on Dad's Watching Sports. Y'all take care.